So, today, we're diving deep into the science behind your brain on porn. We're going to explore how it can physically change your brain's wiring, and most importantly, how you can start to take back control.
Let's just start with a really challenging question. What if the one thing you turn to for comfort is actually a trap? For so many people, it begins innocently enough, a simple click, maybe out of curiosity. But that initial thrill can so quickly morph into a cycle that feels almost impossible to break.
And let's get one thing straight right off the bat. This isn't about morality or judgment. This is all about neuroscience. While some people debate whether porn addiction is real, the science shows us some very tangible changes happening inside the brain. And we're going to unpack that research today.
So how did we get here? How did something that often starts as simple entertainment become this silent addiction for millions? Well, a huge part of the answer has to do with a massive shift in how we access it.
Just look at this timeline for a second. The evolution of access is incredible. It went from printed magazines, with pretty fleeting excitement, to X-rated films that were hard to get. Then came the dial-up internet of the 2000s with its painfully slow downloads. But today we have high-speed internet with an unlimited, instant stream of content right at our fingertips. This shift completely transformed a scarce resource into an endless, non-stop supply of hyperstimulation.
Okay, so that massive shift in access, that's what brings us to the real heart of the matter. How your brain literally gets rewired. And I'm not talking about some abstract idea here. We're talking about physical changes to your brain's actual circuitry.
This whole process unfolds in what's called a four-step addiction loop. First, that endless novelty acts as a constant cue. Second, that cue triggers a massive flood of the reward chemical, dopamine. Third, the brain creates this incredibly powerful association between the action and the feeling of pleasure. And this all leads to the final and maybe the most crucial step, desensitization. The brain basically goes numb and starts demanding more extreme content just to feel the same effect.
Now, the engine driving this entire process is something called neuroplasticity. It's the brain's amazing ability to rewire itself based on what you do over and over again. It's the same mechanism that helps you learn a new skill, like playing the guitar, but in this case, it's reinforcing those addiction pathways, training the brain to prefer artificial stimulation over a genuine human connection.
All right, so we've geeked out on the neuroscience a bit, but what does all this brain rewiring actually look like in day-to-day life? Let's take a look at the tangible, real-life cost.
The source material shares stories that really hit home, and they often sound a lot like this. Real intimacy started to feel dull. Porn became the new standard for pleasure, and I couldn't get aroused without it. It makes sense, right? When the brain gets so overstimulated by a screen, natural rewards they can't compare. And the documented consequences are serious. We're talking about sexual dysfunctions like ED, big impacts on mental health like anxiety and depression, and even cognitive issues like poor concentration and memory loss. And of course, all of this can lead to social isolation and really damaged relationships. But, and this is a huge but, the same science that explains the problem also points us toward a path for healing. The source material introduces a really powerful science-backed process it calls the rebooting solution.
So what is rebooting exactly? Well, it's the process of completely quitting pornography to give your brain's reward circuitry a total break. The whole goal is to allow it to heal, to hit the reset button, and to regain its natural sensitivity to real-life pleasures.
The goal of rebooting really is a complete transformation. Think about it. You go from a brain that's seeking these artificial highs from a screen to one that rediscovers actual joy in real life. Those hijacked dopamine pathways, they're restored, so natural rewards start feeling pleasurable again. And maybe most importantly, that weakened willpower is replaced by restored self-control and choice.
Okay, so that all sounds pretty great in theory, right? But how do you actually do it? This final section is all about the actionable steps for reclaiming your life.
The source provides a practical toolkit for recovery, and it's fantastic. It starts with changing your environment to make access difficult. It also includes things like exercise to naturally restore your dopamine balance, socializing to fight isolation, and meditation to strengthen your impulse control. And finally, it really recommends finding creative hobbies to engage your mind in more fulfilling ways.
So how do you know the process is working? Well, the signs of healing are actually really clear. You'll notice things like a return of natural arousal, feeling a genuine attraction to real people again, and rediscovering the joy in authentic emotional intimacy. It's your body and your brain finally getting back in sync.
You know, when you really boil it all down, it comes to this. Addiction takes away your choice. Recovery is the process of getting it back, which leaves one final, powerful question. Are you ready to choose?